Dr. Elizabeth Hafer is on a mission. She wants to know, is your head on straight? In a world gone sideways, Dr. Hafer provides clarity with balance and structure.
Hey everybody, this is Dr. Liz Hafer with Is Your Head On Straight? So happy you're tuning in today. I'm excited about my guest. It's actually my first repeat guest on my podcast. And the reason why I'm bringing him back on is because the last time I talked to him, he was just a student intern in my office. And now he is a great doctor in the state of New Jersey doing some incredible work. So I would like to introduce to you guys today my friend, Dr. Kevin Pecca, who has taken over the country's oldest upper cervical office and now is running an incredible clinic all by himself out in Montclair, New Jersey. Welcome to the podcast again, Kevin.
Thank you, Dr. Hafer. It's an honor.
I'm so happy to talk to you again, Dr. Pecca. And I know the last time we talked, we were really excited about what you were going to do when you graduated and what you were going to do when you moved back to New Jersey and took over your own practice. So I want you to fill in what has happened since last December when you graduated from college as a doctor of chiropractic.
Well, since last December, I graduated school and I was out in California, and then me, my cousin Timmy, and another chiropractic student, Sonu, we road tripped across country, saw some really cool stuff. I moved back home, and then on January 1st, I started up my chiropractic career with one of the best to ever do it, Dr. Meg Banich. And it was really an honor to work with Dr. Banich because she's been doing it for about 30 plus years. And it was just great to see the process that someone has that level of expertise just go through, how she works with the patients, what happens when it gets difficult, how to talk to people, just to cover chiropractic in almost every aspect. I was very fortunate where I got to study you, who's been doing it for 8-9 years now, Dr. Tom, Dr. Hall, and then finally with Dr. Banich. And I'm really blessed to be able to learn from all of you guys because you guys are just so excellent at what you do. So I started with Dr. Banich in January and started getting my own patients. I was working as independent contractor with Dr. Banich. So I got to bring in my own patients. I got to see her patients when she was out of the office. And it really helped develop my skill set as a doctor because I had such an unbelievable internship with you, which I'm forever grateful for. You let me bring in people off the streets for practically just a little cost, and we got to change so many lives that way, and it really helped develop my skill set. But there's really no way for you to prepare as a doctor when you actually start. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you probably had the same thing when you first started. It's like, it's on. It's ready to go. There's no more practice. There's no more running to chiropractic intern at the clinic. It's you, and you got to be ready.
I totally agree with you. I just want to clarify for all of our listeners, when you say when you say practice, when you say Hall, Tomp, Hafer, Banich, you're talking about Blair upper cervical chiropractors because we practice this incredible Blair upper cervical technique. And I totally appreciate what you're saying. I'm so grateful that my mentor is across the hall. If I have a question or if I'm having an issue with looking at a film or have an issue with maybe something isn't going the way I thought it would, I can just say, hey, Dr. Tomp, what do you think about this? And it was great to have you in our office when you were interning with us because you got to see the dynamic of having the two doctors in the practice. That's a blessing. But unfortunately, most Blair doctors are lone wolves out in the world with no one near them. So I totally understand. And it's really neat. You mentioned some of the people that you brought in as a student intern in the office. One of the girls just showed up today, Lauren, and she hadn't been in a year because she felt so great. Well, she was out of alignment. So we adjusted her and literally on the table, she's like, I feel so much better already. And that was only 2 adjustments in a year. So I want you to tell me, how do you feel like you were ready, like the confidence that you had to just know that you knew that when you brought somebody in, you were going to be fine taking care of them, knowing that Dr. Banich was definitely transitioning out?
Oh, absolutely. And I think I was overconfident when I actually started, and because I saw so many miracles happen in your office, and I was like, I was on fire. I'm going to help everybody. And then you get into practice and you get a couple miracle cases right away. And then you start getting the people that you don't know quite how to handle. You got to see them a little more. You have to adjust your skill set to match them. And that was an awesome challenge that I had to go through. I think one of my first patients, her symptoms were literally the entire left side of her body was numb. Like, couldn't feel the left side of her body. And it's like, what do you, you don't see, like, what do you do in that instant? And I'm grateful that I have the Blair analysis where we're not chasing symptoms. We're going after the root cause of the problem. And if you clear the interference around the brainstem, everything has a shot to get better. And so that was definitely a challenge and a difficult one. But like I said, the Blair analysis is so thorough and in-depth, and so, I mean, it saved my life. It saved your life. It's amazing the miracles you get to see happen with the Blair technique.
Right. So with that patient that you were just describing, were you able to give her an education that she understood, that she believed that making that specific correction at the top of her neck was going to make a difference? And so far, how has she progressed with care?
She was a tough challenge, and she was almost like a doctor chaser. She was running from doctor to doctor to doctor. What should I do this? And she was actually a challenge for Dr. Banich and I. But one of my first patient, like in the office, was a woman that was in such excruciating low back pain she could barely walk into the office, and she was going to get surgery in 3 or 4 weeks. And she was in so much pain she could barely sit in the x-ray chair, and it was tough to watch because she was just in so much pain. And it wasn't like a couple of the Blair cases you see where they pop up off the table and they say, I'm healed. It was more of a process. And after about 2 months of her, before coming here crying every single day, being able to barely walk, completely lost her ability to live life. And I just heard from her husband a month or two ago, and he just called and thanked me. He said, I got my wife back. She's a completely different person. She doesn't need surgery. She's living again. She's exercising, and we can't thank you enough. And that really is the ultimate reward and why we get into this and do what we do.
Absolutely. You know what? It's really great that you're talking about your first year in practice and that it's not all these miracle cases, because of course we're going to brag about the people who got healed instantly and who had one adjustment and all their pain went away. But the truth is, it is a process, like you were saying, and slow and steady wins the race. That's what I educate my patients on every day. And I tell them in chiropractic, we kind of go off of these 33 principles. And the principle number 6 is all processes take time. So it takes time to become dysfunctional. It takes time to heal. So with that said, the lady who came in with excruciating pain and she could barely sit, 2 months is a very little amount of time compared to the long suffering she dealt with.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
I'm happy that you are kind of in a realistic sense, hope and giving life back, and not like telling people, oh, one adjustment and it's done and you'll be healed. It's definitely a process.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it took probably about a year and a half for me to be completely healed, with a lot of ups and downs. And if it wasn't for a person like Drew Hall, who knows exactly like what it's like, and to just be like, hang in there, it's going to get better, I promise, because you lived it. So I had a woman in early February last year with Meniere's, and Meniere's can be a tricky thing because they have the ear ringing, the ear fullness, the dizziness. And around the 1 month mark, she was holding her adjustment, but she was like, I don't feel any different. And I said, it's okay. It's going to take some time. And usually around the 3 or 4 month mark with Meniere's, we start seeing great changes. And this woman hung in there, held her adjustment for around the 3 or 4 month mark. And the blurry vision, the dizziness, the ear ringing, it all disappeared. And I barely see her anymore. And she was coming in like twice a week just to see if she was holding. And she got her life back. And a lot of other people, what's great about Blair is you know when to leave it alone.
Yep.
And you know when to hold. So like I feel like a lot of maybe some other doctors would have tried to interfere with that healing process and maybe made an adjustment where you know exactly when to leave something alone and let the body heal because of all the analytical tools we have. And if you leave it alone and it holds, you will definitely get your life back. And sometimes it doesn't happen overnight. It goes up and down and up and down.
I totally understand. I do think it's important to mention the scanning tool and the leg checks and the palpation and all of the different factors, the posture analysis that we use to determine if somebody's objectively neurologically clear, because a symptom doesn't always tell the whole story. When I teach my healthcare class, I talk about the fact that you're 80% dysfunctional neurologically before you ever even feel a thing. So I'm really grateful that you know when not to adjust, because that woman and her Meniere's issues are forever grateful that she no longer has that, because you knew when to let her body do the healing that it needed to do. It is a tough line to walk because there's standards of care and there's 100 different chiropractors out there that work for insurance companies that will tell you you only have 2 weeks, and if you don't make a difference, it's not working.
Yeah.
We don't have to live within those parameters. We just have to trust the process. And I'm grateful that you're educating your patients that that's the story. You have to trust the process and know that your body makes the healing. So tell me about the transition, because you were a student, you went in as an IC. Dr. Bandage and you worked together for probably 9 months, right?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I didn't have my license yet, so I was literally just in the office, just shadowing her, watching what she did. And then I got my license and I started working on people, and we see a lot of great things happen. But what I noticed most for me was I started to have to change everything to become the doctor I wanted to be. I started to start taking care of myself outside of the office and really start eating healthy and working out, and maybe some sacrificing, like not going out as much and everything, just to be as effective as I wanted to be in the office. And that took a month or two to realize that I really need to buckle down. And if I want to become the doctor I want to be, I really got to start focusing and showing up every day 100% and putting work into the craft. And that made a big difference. Focusing on everything, focusing in the office, and then focusing on what you're doing outside the office as well.
Right. When did you graduate? What day? Was it December?
I believe it was December 12th or 13th, around there.
Right.
Yeah.
And you just told me January 1, you were at that office in Montclair, New Jersey,
I was ready to go.
You had zero transition time.
Yeah.
Because you had to literally move across the country. You had zero transition time from college student to professional. And I think that's an important thing that you just mentioned. I know often weeknights, like, forget about it. I'm not going to do anything because, number one, I have my family, my kids. I got to get their homework done. Yeah. But I know that I have to be up and ready, and my brain has to be fully firing. My heart has to be 100% when I walk into that office, because if you're distracted, you're not going to give the great care that you want to give.
Absolutely.
So
you got to be 100% there. Yeah.
That's great. So then, what advice would you give a chiropractic student looking to kind of start their own practice? Because you're living the dream. You took over an incredibly successful practice, but most people don't have that luxury. So would you recommend doing a 1 or 2 year associateship or independent contractor where you have access to other chiropractors? Or would you say just save your money and get out and start on your own?
Well, it's interesting, especially if you're doing upper cervical work. A lot of the patients we see have been every single place they come in with a lot of crazy symptoms. People that can't walk, people that are in wheelchairs, people that can't lay down on their side because the room starts spinning. And you have to know what you're doing. So I definitely recommend associating with another doctor, especially if you're doing upper cervical for like 6 months to a year, just to see everything that goes on. Because like I say, you get people that can't walk and you can change their lives. You just have to know what you're doing. And being able to see that from an experienced doctor, being able to read the x-rays, being able to figure out that some people have different bone structures and everything, and the different ways to adjust things. That's all experience. And it's kind of sad. I went out to lunch today with a girl that I went to chiropractic school with. She's back in Jersey too. And it's kind of sad to see that there's some mentoring programs in the chiropractic profession, and they're making these kids pay all this money, and they're making them do all these things, saying you have to get this software and this equipment and all this, and you have to make all these videos, when there's people out there like you and Drew and Meg Banich, and that will take the time out. And if you show you're interested, they will give you this knowledge for free. If you're genuinely interested about it, there are so many people that will help you, and you don't need to go spending thousands of dollars. You're already in this debt. Like, people, if you show the initiative, there are so many people that, from the goodness of their heart, that will help you. I mean, earlier this week, I said, I sent you x-rays. I said, is there anything that you see that I don't see on this x-ray to help out this person? You got back to me in 10 minutes, and that's not something you can pay for. I showed the dedication in your office. You know how serious I am about it, and I love you to death, and you will do anything for me. I'll do anything for you, and I think that goes a long way with people, and I think you need that to succeed. And do you know what I'm saying?
I agree. And I guess, yeah, I absolutely do. And that saying that chiropractic eats their young is true to an extent. But if you get in with the right crowd, if you like the Blair world, the doctors are so unselfish because we just simply want people to get better. And you're now in that camp, Dr. Pecca. You are now going to be the doctor that another student comes and says, Doc, what do you think about this? And you're not too far off from that, because I feel like the training that you got and the access you had to these really exceptional doctors while you were a student set you light years ahead. And then you walked into Dr. Bandage's office and you hit the ground running. And I think that your advice of spending time associating or at least being around a doctor that can mentor you is so vital. And I think that's what the Blair Society is working on doing, is providing a safer place for students coming out of college to be able to make a decent living, learning still how to take care of people, and then be able to successfully take that on. I know Darren White had an incredible program up in Washington. Dr. Linares has trained several doctors that are super successful. And now those doctors like Rashay Bell and others in Washington, Chris Wolf, they're taking that and then they're doing that for the next generation. So it's exciting to see. And now you're on the East Coast and now you got to represent. So you gave me an example of a Meniere's patient who was difficult but did end up making a good recovery after several months. Is there another case that you want to brag about? Because you've been in practice now, I think, when did you officially open your own shop? Like a month and a half ago?
I've officially opened up my own shop in September. Yeah. I mean, there's people that I've inherited from Dr. Bandage. It doesn't even have to be a miracle case sometimes. It's this woman that hasn't been in 6 months, and she came in and she goes, I don't know what's going on. I have blurred vision and dizziness and all this. And she was kind of freaking out a little bit. And we laid her on the table, we put her back into alignment. She gets up and she's just like, I feel so much better already. And it's been a couple minutes. And they're just so thankful for it. And that's what really keeps you going, because sometimes we focus on the people that aren't doing as well as we'd like and we can't help. And then you have somebody walk in the door and that's exactly why I do it. It's amazing to see. And just from the Blair website alone, I've gotten so many referrals to the office. And with all the Meniere's research, I would say Meniere's is probably half my patients right now. And it's great because these people have been to other medical doctors, and I'm not knocking the medical profession at all. There's definitely a time and place for medication, but these people will look their eyes and said, there's nothing you can do for Meniere's. You're going to have to live with this forever. Take this medication. And then when they come to our office, or any Blair office for that matter, and you clear out the interference, and they do get their lives back. And even if it's not everything at once, if you just take away the ear, like 24/7 ear ringing has to be, I don't have that, but that has to be one of the most excruciating things to live with. And to have that go away, and to have that person literally give you a hug and say, my ears aren't ringing anymore and I feel great and I have my life back. That's why we do what we do. And yeah, you see it a lot in upper cervical offices, to the point it just becomes, not that it becomes routine, but it's just, you get to help so many people every single day. It's almost like everything becomes a miracle, and it's thankful. You're thankful you get to do what you do.
I agree with you. Well, I know another thing that you were able to be exposed to at the office with me was that you learned about doing podcasting. So you actually have your own podcast. Tell me about that.
Absolutely. Well, it's really funny how that worked out, because I got really into the Joe Rogan podcast, which is one of my favorite podcasts. And I was thinking about it. And I remember saying to myself, I'm going to have a podcast one day. And then I think, no joke, 2 weeks later, I walk in the office, you're like, I'm going to start a podcast. And I was like, holy shit, like, can I come in and listen? And you're like, obviously, you invited me. I met Tom. And one of the biggest things that Tom did for me was, in my mind, I was like, I'm not going to start a podcast. I'm not an established doctor yet, and I'm going to wait. And Tom was literally like, what are you waiting for? Do it now. It would be cool for your patients to see you growing as a person and a doctor. And that conversation right there was one of the best advice I ever got. I just started it because Tom said, why are you waiting? Just do it. And it helped kick off my practice. It was very beneficial not to wait, because I've recorded episodes with so many great people. The podcast is called Expect Miracles, and it's on iTunes. It's just not just a chiropractic podcast. It's anybody that has a really great story. So we have doctors, healers, musicians, people with just incredible life stories that have just been through hell and they came out the other side just feeling great again, and they have something positive to share with the world. And it's something I always wanted to do, but it really wouldn't have been possible without you and Tom, and I'm just very grateful for that.
Yeah, they're incredible. Brandcasting You is such an incredible company to work with. They make it so easy for me, for you, for the several other people that I know that are doing podcasting. I had the opportunity to teach about podcasting at the Blair Upper Cervical Chiropractic Conference, and I know a lot of people are interested in it because literally they just do it for you. So shout out to Brandcasting You and Tom and Tracy Hazard. They're absolutely amazing. And your podcast is awesome. You actually were able to produce your podcast before I even ever got around to producing mine. And I was so proud because I was like, this guy was in on the initial meetings and he took it and ran with it. I think you had a little bit more free time, which was great.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I was off,
Yeah, it was awesome because I have been listening to your podcast for months now, and every time I listen to an episode, not only am I super proud of you because I feel like you were like my first intern, but just the content that you're bringing, the awareness that you're bringing, the stories that you're telling, the world needs that kind of stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
And you've opened my eyes, you've opened my heart, you've opened my mind to topics that I wouldn't have ever even imagined considering, and it's just awesome. So
thank you.
I am encouraging everybody to become a subscriber to the Expect Miracles podcast with Dr. Kevin Pecca.
Thank you.
And if you're lucky, you'll find the episode that he interviewed me. That was one of his first interviews. And
I believe it's in the first 5 episodes. That's a very good one. Dr. Hafer's story is truly amazing. Truly amazing. I'm going
to actually, you guys, all my guests listening, you'll hear my testimony on my podcast soon. I'm going to record that so that everybody can understand the passion about where I come from and why I do what I do.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited for you, Dr. Pecca. You are doing so great. And
thank you.
Tell me the name of your practice and where it's located.
So the practice is called Montclair Upper Cervical Chiropractic. It was in Montclair, New Jersey, and we just moved it a mile and a half down the road to West Orange, New Jersey. The practice has stayed the same name. The website is drkevinpecca.com. And we're just really excited to get going. It's one of the best things I've ever done. I love doing it. And it's very exciting to be able to take a practice that's been there for 3 generations and them trusting me with it. And I'm just very excited and think the future is very bright. I'm excited to keep going.
I could not agree more. I'm so thankful that you took your time with me this afternoon. I know you are busy building a practice, so the fact that you took a half hour out of your day to be with me today is awesome. I look forward to hearing more about the great things that you're doing, and I'm looking forward to coming out to New York and New Jersey really soon to visit you, and let's have a grand opening
we got to get that going. I talked to my mom today. We're thinking December, a couple weeks before Christmas now. Keeps getting pushed back.
Oh, is that right? I don't know if I want to come to New York in December, but
that's the best time to come. The Times Square, Christmas trees up. You'll have a great time. The cold is good for everybody for a week or two, for you Californians. Yeah.
For a week or two. You know what? For you, Dr. Pecca, I might come back to winter.
Love that. Hope you do.
Love that about that.
And I'm coming out for the office party, 1,000%. I need to come out for that.
The Christmas party. You know what? Precision Chiropractic has pretty epic parties. We are a family, and we like to celebrate things.
That we do.
You're invited.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hafer, for having me on. I appreciate it.
It is my pleasure. I'm so thankful that you took the time to come out today, and I look forward to hearing from you in the future. We will definitely schedule another interview. I'm looking forward to healing from the East Coast, and I am happy that I have somebody to refer to out there. That is good news.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening today on Is Your Head On Straight? Our guest was Dr. Kevin Pecca. He practices in West Orange, New Jersey. It's called Montclair Upper Cervical Chiropractic, and you can find him at drkevinpecca.com. If you have any questions or any kind of interest in learning more about the Blair work, you can log on to blairchiropractic.com, and you can actually locate a doctor. There are doctors all over the country and now all over the world. So if you're interested in anything about Blair Chiropractic, log into blairchiropractic.com. You can always find me at drhafer.com or Precision Chiropractic in Rancho Santa Margarita. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to talking to you guys real soon.
Thank you for listening to Is Your Head On Straight with your host, Dr. Elizabeth Hafer. Visit drhafer.com for more details in the show blog post and to learn what Blair Upper Cervical Chiropractic Care can do for you. That's drhafer.com, drhoefer.com.